this video. For those on TikTok who don't know, I do a Sunday service on my YouTube channel, but I wanted to do one here for TikTok. So I want to try it on TikTok and see how it does. Alright, so this is a Christian story. It's a Christian, follower Jesus guy. Alright, Jesus and a sick child. Jairus pushed his way through the crowd. He was almost running through. He looked very tired. He had to find Jesus. He had to find him right now. Now Jairus was an important man in the town where he lived. The people liked him and listened when he spoke. But when he came hurrying towards Jesus, Jairus did not look like an important man. He was in trouble and needed Jesus. Please, he called out as soon as he was near enough to be heard. Please help me. My little girl is very sick. The doctors say they can't help her. Jairus wiped the dust from his face. You know how to help sick people. Please come. Just then some people came looking for Jairus. Do not trouble Jesus to come. They said no one can help the little girl now. Jairus was afraid. He thought his little girl had died. Jesus put his hand on Jairus' shoulder. Don't be afraid. I will come. Jairus turned quickly towards his home with Jesus by his side. When they came to Jairus' house, there were many friends and relatives there. They were crying. Jesus spoke to them. Do not cry. This child is not dead. But they did not believe him. So Jesus told the people to stay outside. He knew crying people would not help. Then Jesus went with the mother and daddy into the little girl's room, where how still she lay. Jesus went close to the bed. He stood quietly for a moment, looking at the little girl lovingly. He thought of the mother and daddy who were so sad. He thought of God who helped them all and wanted them to be well and happy. He knew that God was there with them. Jesus took the little girl's hand in his. He spoke gently. Child, wake up. The little girl opened her eyes. She saw the kind face of Jesus. She knew he was helping her. She felt better. She saw her mother and father. She smiled at them, then spoke. I'm hungry, she said. The mother and father ran to her and put their arms around her. Then they look at Jesus, their faces full of wonder. This is real quick, I'm back. They had thought their child was dead. Now they knew she was alive. How Jesus loved people. How much he helped people. They tried to speak, but Jesus smiled at them. Give the little girl something to eat, he said, and he slipped away, leaving the little girl with her mother and father. A man who was lonesome. Matthew was lonesome. He had no friends. He sat in his office thinking, nobody likes me, he thought. None of the friends I had talk with me anymore. They do not invite me to come see them. They look the other way when they see me coming. Matthew knew why his friends had stopped liking him. He knew it was because he was working for the Romans. His friends hated the Romans. The Romans had won a war. Now they ruled over Matthew's people. They were angry because the Romans made them pay taxes. They talked about Matthew has turned against his own people. They said he works for our enemies, and he Just then Matthew saw someone at his door. He looked up expecting to see a scowling face. Instead, he saw a friendly face. It was Jesus. Matthew had heard Jesus teach. Now Jesus had to come see him. As Matthew looked at Jesus, he was more ashamed of all the wrong he had done. He wanted to be good. He wanted to help his people instead of cheat them. Then Jesus talked to Matthew. Jesus knew that Matthew wanted to be good. He said, "Come, Matthew, leave what you have been doing. Come, be one of my helpers." How good it was to have someone want him. How good it was to have someone trust him. Matthew knew that Jesus could help him be the good, friendly man he wanted to be. So Matthew left his office and went with Jesus, and he became a good friend to his people. Helping angry men understand. Jesus and his friends did not have any horse or car. Well, obviously cars exist then, to use when they traveled. They had to walk from one place to another, even if it was far. One day they were walking along the road toward the big city of Jerusalem. They went through a part of the country where the people did not like travelers to Jerusalem. They thought that those who went to Jerusalem were their enemies. As Jesus and his friends walked, it grew late. It was a long time since they had anything to eat. They needed a place to eat and a place to spend the night. "I will go ahead and find a place," one of Jesus' friends said. So he ran ahead of others toward the town. After a little while, he came hurrying back. His clothes were torn. He was very angry. "They will not let us stay in the town," he shouted angrily. "See, they hit me. They drove me out of town." The other friends became angry too. It is a wicked town," James said. "A town that will not give travelers something to eat, and a place to stay at night is a wicked town." John turned to Jesus. Let us ask God to send down fire to burn up the wicked town," he said. Jesus shook his head. "You do not understand. God does not want us to hurt people. He wants us to help." John was still angry, but "Teacher, we need something to eat and a place to stay. They are wicked." "Yes, John. Come, let us go on, Father. We will find food and a place where we can stay." Then he smiled at his angry friends. "But not by burning down the towns," he said. So they went on to another town. They found food and a place to stay. Which is true too, Instead of acting with violence, act with love. And, obviously, those who hate, who show hatred and just negative emotions, don't pay any mind to them. They want to act, it's like my mother would say, if someone wants to act mean or nasty or negative, forget about them. Just go to another area or get away from them. They're just gonna, because like she says, negative emotions. What's that word called? Yeah, that's contagious. Once, once someone, acts mean to you, you want to do the same thing. Like my mother would say, it's not worth it. You're better off to be like Jesus and just be like, all right, I'm getting out of here because, you're not worth hating. It's not worth it at all. But anyway, I don't have time for this video, so hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and comment, follow, and I'll see you in my very next video. Be sure to check out my channel. I usually try to do a